Look at that bread. No yeast, no mixer, no time at all. One bowl. Oh my lord, look at what you can achieve. Bread. Wow. Hi everybody, welcome again to another episode of Flourdamentals. Today we're gonna be making something wildly requested. Just kidding, there's like 4 people that comment on every video. Today we're gonna be making a loaf of bread. What? Everybody's been asking for recipes on how to make a loaf of bread that's really easy, but everyone is coming into different kinds of problems. You know, it takes too much time, it has so much waiting, you need a mixer, I have no yeast. Well, we're gonna address all those questions. Ding! So this recipe is gonna make you a nice crusty loaf of bread and address all the questions that you guys have been asking. So this recipe is inspired by Irish soda bread. What Irish soda bread is a crusty loaf of bread that doesn't use any yeast but gets its rise from baking soda and buttermilk, which is what we're gonna do here today. So obviously here we have our bread flour. So you wanna use bread flour here because it's a little bit stronger and it's gonna give you a bit more structure for this type of loaf. But if you had only all-purpose flour, you can use that as well. Just note that it might absorb a little bit more liquid. So you might have to add a couple tablespoons of extra flour to get the consistency that we're gonna look for, which I'll show you guys later. So aside from the flour, we have here our Aside from the flour, we have here our oil, baking soda, which is gonna be the leavener for our bread, an egg, salt, and here you have your liquid. So again, if we base this recipe on Irish soda bread, you'd be using buttermilk, but it's not something that you can easily find in grocery stores here. So I'm using a substitute here that's my favorite. A common substitute for buttermilk is the same amount of milk and then added some vinegar or some lemon juice to kind of help it curdle a little bit, and then that's how you kind of make homemade buttermilk. But for this recipe that I developed, I like using a combination of Greek yogurt and milk. I find that gets us a really good texture and flavor. So here I have 1.5 cups total. I used 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt and 3/4 of a cup of milk. So 1.5 cups total. It's also going to depend on the consistency of your Greek yogurt, but you want the consistency of buttermilk, so like a thick milk, and that's what you're looking for. The main thing about this is that we didn't want to bring in a mixer yet into this series, so people have been asking, how do you make a loaf of bread without a mixer? This is all you need for this recipe. This is a wooden spoon. Woohoo! So here we have our flour, baking soda. Again, this is our main leavener for this bread, and salt. I always like to mix the dry ingredients first, just to make sure that the leavener is evenly distributed amongst the flour and you don't get pockets of leavener where your bread will rise unevenly. And then I'm gonna add in the oil, and I'm just gonna work that in a little bit into the flour before adding my other ingredients. So what I'm gonna do is get our egg, crack it into the yogurt and milk mixture. Then I'm gonna just take the same spoon and whisk it in, and make sure your egg is well combined into the milk and the yogurt. Then you're gonna make a little well in the center of your flour. Then you're gonna pour your yogurt, milk, and egg mixture into the center. And that's all your ingredients in the bowl. What you're gonna do is just slowly incorporate the flour into the liquid. And you're gonna see it's gonna be kind of a dry-ish but tacky dough. And that's exactly the consistency you're looking for. So you're just gonna mix this until the flour is hydrated or there's no pockets of dry flour. But you don't want to knead this. Like, we're not kneading this, we're just stirring it together. So as you can see, the dough has no more dry pockets of flour. This is the point where you want to stop mixing. So what I'm going to do now is just bring it together with my hands. Just put a little flour and you're just going to turn the dough out. And what we're gonna do here is not knead it. What we really want to do is just bring it together. So it's gonna be a little craggly, a little weird, and that's okay. Anyone that's craggly and weird is okay. So as you can see, we're not kneading it like we normally knead it. We're just really putting it together until it comes together into one ball. And then you're gonna flatten it out. So you shouldn't feel any dry spots, but it will be a little bit looser than your normal dough. That's okay. So what you're gonna do after you put it together is slightly flatten it with the palm of your hand into about a 7-inch round. And it's gonna be about an inch thick. Then when you have that, you're just gonna take it and transfer it onto a baking sheet. So while I was making the bread, I always forget to say this, I was preheating the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. The Celsius thing will be underneath here. So 425 degrees is a really high temperature. What we want to do with this bread is cook it really hot so that it gets a really nice crusty outside. But as the outside gets brown and hard and crusty and nice, the inside will remain moist and won't dry out. So we're gonna bake this at 425 for a total of 45 minutes. My advice here is because all ovens differ a little bit. At 25 minutes, you're gonna check your bread in the oven. And if it's getting brown too fast, then you're gonna turn your heat down to 400 degrees and continue cooking your bread for the next 20 minutes at that temperature. My oven runs a little bit hot, so normally I do 25 minutes at 425 degrees and then 20 minutes at 400. But before we bake this bread, we're gonna score it. What scoring this bread allows for is for the steam to escape in a controlled way. So the reason why you score your bread is because the bread and the leavener will expand in the oven. And if you don't score your bread, the steam really, if you think about it, has no place to go. It's like a closed door and it doesn't know where to leave. But if you score it, it opens up the inside of the bread and it gives a place for the steam to come out without busting out in different directions and baking your bread unevenly. So I'm just gonna do a simple cross pattern here. Again, this is a rustic loaf. It's not something you can score with like little pretty designs and stuff like that. So just a nice big cross for all the steam to come out when it wants to. So just get the sharpest knife you have. And for this bread, we're gonna go about halfway down. So you don't wanna cut this bread. You're really just scoring the top and creating that divot. And then you're gonna wanna. And then the most important part of this is to help it brown nicely is to put an egg wash. So for an egg wash, you can crack an egg, whisk it with a little bit of water, and then mix it all together. But if you have some leftover buttermilk, or here in our case yogurt and milk, you can use that to coat your bread. Again, very rustic, very easy, and you don't have to waste an egg just to do it. So I'm just gonna use my hand, take whatever is left of your mixture and just put it on the top. I also want to talk here about mix-ins. If you wanted to put mix-ins like raisins or other things, herbs and stuff like that, you could totally do that in the mixing stage. You could also top this with nuts and seeds, oats, anything like that. We're just keeping it simple for you guys today. So, okay, see you back in 40 minutes. Bye! So I just wanted to show you guys how it looks like in the oven right now. It's been about 25 minutes. And this level of browning is okay. I wanted to get browner than that, so I'm not turning down my oven to 400 degrees. If your bread is way browner than this, then you definitely want to turn your oven down. Okay, so it's been about 40 to 45 minutes, and our bread, I just took it out of the oven. So I did end up lowering my oven to 400 degrees for the last 10 minutes. As you can see, it looks really dark on camera, but it's not as dark in real life. But you want it super, super dark golden brown. You almost want it like, oh my god, did I burn it? But you did not burn it. A lot of that color is not the bread burning, but the mixture of the wash that we put on top. How you know that it's fully cooked is that if it's hot as hell and it's burning your fingertips, oh my lord. And then how you know your bread is cooked is if you knock at the bottom, it should sound hollow. Not like it's gonna say hello. No, it has to just sound hollow. So you just knock on it, and if it sounds empty, then your bread is fully cooked. That means the inside is nice and light. Hello! And then I'm just gonna cut this bread so you can see the inside. There, look at that. So it's a great base bread. It's great with butter and jam. Because we didn't knead the bread and we just very gently put it together, you can see the crumb is actually nice and light, but it has that nice crust that you want from your crusting bread. You can see there. That's your no yeast, no mixer, white loaf of bread. And we hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you want another Flourdamentals video, if you want to suggest what we should do next, please comment down below. If you guys make this bread, let us know as well. Like and subscribe. All those shenanigans. I'm gonna go eat bread. Bye! Love you! Hello! Walang tao!